And we are live on a Monday. Welcome in everyone for episode 60 of the Legends Clubhouse. As always, I'm Lawson Turner, and I would be saying, Mr. Bobby Caboose is right there, but he's still having internet issues that he suffered on Friday. He is having the Wi-Fi security or whoever come out and help him, and he should be back Wednesday. But as always, the show must go on. So, we got a lot to discuss. The NFL's first weekend was yesterday, and a lot of amazing games. But before we dive into it, be sure to check out our all of our other amazing content on newleafnews.com or .network. They take us to the same great spot. We're going to be having plenty of NFL coverage and everything you could think of, from horoscopes, gaming, crime, politics, you name it, we got it. So let's dive into this action-packed NFL weekend. So let's start with last night's game. Which one? The Sunday night one, obviously. The Buffalo Bills stormed back from down 15 in the fourth quarter with about 5 minutes to go against the daunted Baltimore Ravens. They not only came all the way back, they ended up pulling off what was a really interesting upset, because going into the game, the Ravens were, I think, a 1.5 point favorite, which the line made no sense to me due to Buffalo has earned the right, especially over the past couple years, to be a favorite at home. And not only did Buffalo fall into a deep hole, they came back and won the game 41-40. Josh Allen was as awesome in the second half and in the fourth quarter as a quarterback could possibly be. He was 33 for 46 for the game for 394 yards and 2 passing touchdowns. He also added 30 rushing yards on 14 carries for 2 rushing touchdowns. What was my biggest takeaway of the entire game? The Ravens will Raven. This is why in the Lamar Jackson era, especially earlier on in his career, he was, if you want to cross sports, his comparison was Giannis Antetokounmpo of the Milwaukee Bucks, a dominant regular season player, and I do mean dominant. One of the best regular season quarterbacks you'll ever see. His regular season stats will always be insane, and there's an argument that he could be the NFL's MVP every single season. However, this is the exact point as to why I and many others, they just can't put the Ravens over. They just can't. If you are to finally take the leap, you bring in a veteran receiver, DeAndre Hopkins. You brought in Derrick Henry last year. You bring in Jair Alexander to help with the back end that was god awful last year, and you blow a 15-point lead in the fourth quarter with 5 minutes to go. Buffalo scores, does not go for 2 yet to at least guarantee, okay, next time, assuming we get the ball back, it's still a 1-score game. You got the ball with 2 chances to ice the game. When the Bills cut it to 8, Lamar, you're the MVP. Two-time MVP. You have Derrick Henry, who is just going insane. Derrick Henry ended with 169 yards and 2 touchdowns and was virtually untackleable. Virtually untackleable. Can you pick up a couple first downs? Can you end this game? And Derrick Henry, I think that was the drive Derrick Henry fumbled. Which, once again, it's just everything bad just seems to happen for the Ravens. It really does. And it's such a heartbreaker because, yeah, so oh no, that was the possession. That was a possession after. That was a possession after. So no, I was right. What the hell am I looking at? So Buffalo cuts it to 8. Very next play from scrimmage, Derrick Henry fumbles, and Derrick Henry is almost as sure-handed of a running back in terms of ball security as we have in the league. Derrick Henry will not and should not fumble in that spot. However, Buffalo forced that fumble, and then they jumped on it, and then they drive down the field and score. Then they got to go for 2 to make it a tie game, and which, once again, even if they would have tied the game, we have a 2-time MVP. Derrick Henry is untackleable. Zay Flowers is a human joystick who also had a very dominant performance last night. And Baltimore's defense did their job. Stopped Buffalo on their 2-point try. So Lamar, you've got the ball in your hands, up 2, couple first downs, you can ice this game, and Buffalo doesn't even get the chance to get the ball back to their MVP. And you go 3 and out. Like, that's unacceptable. To not at least pick up 1 first down, it's disappointing. And if I was a Ravens fan, this is why you can believe in this team in the regular season, but when it comes to the postseason and the upper echelon of the AFC, like the Bills and like the Chiefs, if you were to pick the Ravens, you would be idiotic to do that. Look at them last year. They demolished the Bills on a Sunday night in Baltimore. And in the playoffs, and when it got tight, Lamar made a couple bad plays, and Mark Andrews dropped the game-tying 2-point play. But once again, that wouldn't have even won them the game because Josh Allen would have got the ball back. And how Baltimore's defense was last year, there was a good chance that they were going to lose that game anyways. It amazes me year in and year out when the Ravens are discussed of being, they're one of the favorites to win the AFC. They should be one of, but they should not be ahead of Kansas City or ahead of the Buffalo Bills entering any season. That Lamar or Josh Allen are not at those two respective teams. Mind-boggling to me. The Ravens are one of the more well-run organizations in the NFL, and for whatever reason, this is their bugaboo. They just don't win big games. They don't. Name me one signature Lamar win in the playoffs or in what you would consider a big game. Oh, but Lawson, they beat the shit out of your Steelers last year. Yeah, they did. But I wouldn't call it a signature win. We were on a 4-game losing streak entering the playoffs. Oh, but when he finally got over the hump and was the number 1 seed, they hosted Kansas City. And they had their least scoring game of the entire season. And when they were, the number 1 seed in 18? When you got knocked off at home against the Tennessee Titans? Like, I don't know if it's the quarterback. I don't know if it is mental. It's got to be a mental block, right? Because you can't say the roster's bad. You have, Matabike is a excellent interior lineman. Roquan Smith, top three middle linebacker. Kyle Hamilton, top 3 safety. Lamar, top 3 quarterback. Zay Flowers, serviceable enough weapon. Rashad Bateman, good enough. Derrick Henry, top 3 running back. Your offensive line is good. It makes no sense to me as to why this team continuously will blow games in these spots. No sense to me. None. And Lamar has proved me and a lot of people wrong since entering the league as to, can he develop as a pocket passer? And he's been excellent in his development, in being a multiple time MVP. But there's something missing there, and I don't know if it is whenever they get over the hump. But if it's not now or when they were the number 1 seed 2 years ago, then when? If not now, then we must start questioning, will they ever get over the hump? You know what I mean? And this is not to discredit anything that the Buffalo Bills did last night. They were awesome, picking up Matt Prater off of damn near his couch when Tyler Bass was hurt. And speaking of Kyle Hamilton, he was this close of blocking that field goal and being the hero of the game. We saved a monumental disaster in Buffalo. It was a fantastic game. It was 2 MVP performances. Lamar was fine. He was 14 for 19 passing for 209 and added 70 yards on the ground and a touchdown. Zay Flowers was... It looked as if every time Zay Flowers had the ball in his hands, there was not a Bills defender in sight. None. He ended with 7 catches for 143 and a touchdown. I want to spotlight a kind of an unsung hero of this game. Joey Bosa. And Joey Bosa was the Bills' big, free agent acquisition of this offseason. Coming from the Chargers, and when he's on the field, he is a talented player. But the best ability in pro sports, whether it be football, basketball, baseball, is availability. He is an injury prone player. However, some of the biggest plays of the night, the forcing the fumble of, I think it was Justice Hill, and granted, did the Bills recover the fumble? No, but but the Ravens lost 15 yards just off that fumble, them recovering it. So those are just little small plays, and obviously it's very hard to get to Lamar Jackson. There was one play, I think it might have been early stages of the fourth, maybe third quarter, where Lamar just, sitting in the pocket doing his taxes, drifts back, no one's open, and he picks up a first down. On third and I think it was 8, might have been 7. And it's plays like that Lamar, us as NFL fans, we want you to succeed. We do. Like, even because I'm a Steelers fan, it's like, even if you put the Ravens Steeler ship hatred aside, I'm a football fan. I want to see these all-time great potential players because Lamar is a all-time great regular season player. I want to see him do it in big games. I want to see him do it in the postseason. And yes, it's one game, but this could be a mental block for the Baltimore Ravens. Now I didn't have them winning this game coming into it. However, if you would have told me Baltimore's got a 15-point lead, they're up 40. Bills could hardly sniff a stop. They're up 40-25 with 5 minutes left. I would have told you, oh, the game would have looked just like that. Derrick Henry, long touchdown runs, and looks unstoppable. Because Derrick Henry is a one-of-one build. People built, 6'3", 240 that run with that much power. They don't just fall off trees. And when they got him last year, that was doubling down on their strength. And after one game, it looked like he picked right back up where he left off. Now he is an older running back, which is why I want to see what it looks like in year 2. And last night, almost averaging 10 yards a carry. At, what is he, 31? Insane. I tip my cap. But with that being said, I thought Keon Coleman is a interesting receiver for the Bills. They took him last year, and he would have been third in the NFL in yards per catch if he would have qualified with, the number of games it was either games or snaps that he missed, but he didn't technically qualify to be one of the league leaders. Excuse me. But I feel like when you have a quarterback like Josh Allen, who his accuracy can be hit or miss, or with just a big arm, you need these big body receivers. And Keon Coleman, he looks like a young, awesome, promising receiver. And last night was a step in the right direction in his development. 8 catches for 112 and a touchdown. Awesome. He was awesome last night, especially when Baltimore or any team forces you to be a one-dimensional offense. How successful are you? And the Bills were awesome last night. And it really showed on them pulling that game out late. I was extremely impressed. That might be game of the year, and it was week 1. Like, we might not get another game that's 40-41, 2 MVPs, back and forth, one team pulling away early stages of the second half, and then the other team just roaring back. The game was awesome. And once again, Kyle Hamilton was just this close from blocking that kick and saving a demonstrative loss for the Baltimore Ravens that they suffered last night. He was just this close. But big picture, Ravens are still going to be fine in the regular season. I'm still, for me, jury's still out on how they'll perform in the postseason. But you have as previously mentioned, a top 3 quarterback, a top 3 running back, a top 3 middle linebacker, and a top 3 safety. They're going to be fine. They're going to be just fine. Now to move on to my team, in which at the 1 o'clock window, I could not have been more energetic and excited from what I saw out of the Pittsburgh Steelers yesterday. Aaron Rodgers turned back the clock. And it was really interesting because we have a really young offensive line, and I wanted to see how they would play against the New York Jets defensive front, because the Jets, despite them being a young defense, they are extremely fast and powerful, especially with their defensive line. And they were giving Rodgers fits yesterday. Rodgers was sacked 4 times, and there was a couple shots where I'm like, that 40-year-old body just he might not that he won't get up, but he's gonna need a minute, or he's gonna need some help. And he was taking some giant hits for the majority of the game. But Aaron Rodgers, even at this stage in his career, was 22 for 30, 244, and 4 touchdowns. Like he was the definition of father time, tapping you on the back, wrapping his arm around you, taking 2 steps towards the door. That was what Father Time was doing to Aaron over the past 3-4 years. And then Rodgers took his arm off his shoulder and was like, I might still have some more left in me. Now, it is week 1. I don't want to overreact. I thought Justin Fields was excellent as well. And the Jets' rushing attack was just gashing the Steelers. Breece Hall had one of his best performances without scoring a touchdown. He had 19 carries for, I think, 107 yards. But if you were it's so funny to me because if you were to look at like the rushing chart, they didn't run like an outside zone or a stretch or a toss TJ Watt side one time. And that's going to be an issue for the Steelers if their defense, with the amount of talent you brought in, especially you've been building this team over the past couple years. Now, Derek Harmon, their rookie, is, out with his knee injury. But still, when you're giving up, what they give up total? 100, let me check. I think they gave up like 180 yards rushing, which as a defense, that is, yeah, Pittsburgh gave up 182 yards on the ground. That is tiring your defense. Joey Porter Jr. had to leave the game. Had to leave late in the game due to cramps. Or I don't think on the broadcast they said what the injury was. But when I saw him on the sideline, I'm like, oh, he's probably cramping. Not any due to, I don't know how many, or not that I thought of how many reps or snaps Joey Porter got in the preseason, but especially over these next couple weeks, be sure to see, oh, why isn't so-and-so in? Oh, they haven't reported him as injured or anything. You're not up to football speed yet because you're not getting a lot of snaps. Now, to spotlight Justin Fields, this is the player that I wanted to see and saw flashes of when he was a Pittsburgh Steeler last year. 4-2 record as a Steeler, and yesterday he showed flashes from his big arm and his touch on the touchdown pass to Garrett Wilson. He also made some really big throws on some really big downs, threading the needle and zipping it in there. He finished with 16 for 22 for 218 and a touchdown, but also pitched in 48 yards on the ground and 2 rushing touchdowns. My anxiety, to put it light, when we scored to cut it, I think it was 22-19 is what we cut it to, whatever the score was, and we forced the fumble on the Jets, and Ben Skoranek, who also caught Aaron Rodgers' first touchdown, dove on the ball. The momentum had completely swung Pittsburgh's way. And then 2 plays later, Aaron Rodgers throws his 4th touchdown of the game, and he's running up and down the sideline and, fist bumping and flexing and is super ecstatic because he did turn back the clock. But the Jets didn't blink. And I think that speaks to what Aaron Glenn has done, not only just for the organization and as his head coach, but just what's the word I want to use? The gravity in which you can really see that he's like a Mike Tomlin or a Dan Campbell. He speaks there, his players listen. You buy in. There's a great smell around the Jets organization despite a loss. They played hard, they played physical, and they might give some teams some problems. They genuinely might. Now, their defense has to get cannot give up obviously 34 points a game like they did against Pittsburgh. Um, but same with the Steelers. Like they didn't play particularly well. I think they sacked Justin Fields once. Now, granted, Justin Fields is one of the more difficult quarterbacks to sack in the NFL, especially with his size and escapability. But the when the Jets took the lead in the fourth quarter and Steelers and Pittsburgh goes 3-and-out, I was like, I need this defense to step up one time. Now, granted, we did get the ball back with 3 and change to go, and if it wasn't for a pinball catch by DK Metcalf, which was kind of interesting because it looked like Sauce Gardner got a hand on it, but the ball was still in the air and DK flipped it up and it hit. I can't remember if it was Johnny Smith or Darnell Washington, but it hit him in the chest and it just fell right into DK's arm. And then the controversial no call for the pass interference on third down. Obviously, it was a little biased. Yes, I thought it was PI. It might have been Brandon Stevenson for the Jets that got a hand right in Calvin Austin's collar. But the 2nd and 10 play, I understand wanting to just inch and get a little closer for Chris Boswell, but a tight end screen that loses 3 yards, and then you try your 50-50 ball up the sideline with a 5-10 receiver. It was really interesting to me. However, I'm ready to say it, and this is 100% biased, but once again, stats and whatnot back me up. Chris Boswell's the best kicker in the league. I understand Brandon Aubrey has a massive leg, but in that spot, we didn't do Boz any favors in getting any inch closer, and he hit a career-long 60-yard field goal and cleared it and hit the back of the net. He is the best kicker in the league. Argue with a wall. Brandon Aubrey has a killer leg, yes, but I don't want to hear Cameron Dicker the kicker. I don't want to hear anybody else. If someone comes out with a top 10 kicking rankings and Boswell's not one, we got issues. Because over the past 4 years, he's been killer from distance. And Mike Tomlin even said it after the game. Our kicker's a serial killer, low pulse, and is just ready to strike. And it was something to watch. There was when we trotted Boswell out there, I was like, 60 is kind of long, dude. And it would be now his career long's 58, 59, so it's not like anything crazy, but it's still like from 60, dude. And he walked up and he laced it right down the middle, hit the back of the net, cleared it. Wasn't even the second he kicked it, I'm like, oh, good. I need one stop. And the Jalen Ramsey breaking up that Garrett Wilson play was the definition of AFC North. I was about to say AK Steelers football, but majority AFC North football, where we're going to be physical as hell, and we're going to see right now where the rubber meets the road. And it was so poetic because right at halftime, Jalen was talking, smack with Garrett, and there was a little bit of a, something there. But when Jalen landed that boomstick, and that ball jarred free, I'm like, it's awesome to see that level of physicality. Not saying that the Steelers haven't had that over the past couple years, but from a physical corner, that's why you bring in Jalen Ramsey. Is he the player he was in LA? No. Was he the player he was in Jacksonville? Hell no. But he's just a. Can he rub some people the wrong way? Yeah. But he plays like a Pittsburgh Steeler. Physical, handsy, talk trash, backs it up for the most part. And I was very impressed as to how the Arthur Smith offense looked. And I think I've said it before. Achilles are 2-year injuries. Don't judge a player who suffers an Achilles injury on the first year, because it takes a long time to gain trust in your calf and in your leg. And once again, not to play Monday morning quarterback or overreaction Monday, but Rodgers looked awesome. And it's great when we see these all-time players turn back the clock. Now, will this be his best performance all year long? Probably. I don't see him throwing. I don't see him, throwing 4 touchdowns again. But it's for one time. It was awesome to see because in his prime, there's the argument you don't want any. If you were to go prime for prime, he's the best. His stretch from 2011 to 2014-15 almost untouchable. And do I think he's going to be anywhere close to that? Absolutely not. But it was awesome to see that he grabbed the hourglass and turned it back over. And maybe there's still a little bit left in the tank. Now to get away from my Steelers, because I could blah 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 about them forever. Let's talk about the this. I think I'm prepared to say, for as bad as the New Orleans Saints will be this year, the Miami Dolphins are not far away. They're the worst. Like I don't like one thing about their team. Mike McDaniel will not finish the year. He will be fired. My guess is around week 7, 8. He will be fired. This is a dumpster fire of a franchise and a dumpster fire of an organization. They need a clean sweep. Like when you have an immobile quarterback that Tua Tagovailoa is, you better have a good offensive line, and for as injury prone as he is, you better have a good backup quarterback just in case he misses time. And they have neither of them. Jalen Waddle, good weapon. Tyreek Hill, really dynamic. Devon Achane, a lot of speed. But the Indianapolis Colts just beat the hell out of them. They beached the Dolphins. Tua's first 3 possessions: pick, fumble, punt. And not only that, Shane Steichen made Danny Dimes look like he made him look like he was prime Drew Brees. It's like everything that Daniel Jones could make no mistakes yesterday. Everything was wide open. Tyler Warren looks like a potential superstar at the tight end position. I like Alec Pierce, Michael Pittman. They got some good receivers. Offensive line is good. Jonathan Taylor's an all-worldly back. And, getting Cam Bynum in free agency and, Charvarius Ward, I thought the Colts were going to be really bad this year. Just, I don't know. It was it a little bit of a overreaction of I don't think Danny Dimes is that guy, 110%. But they've been, a consistent, solid, solid middle of the pack team. And I'm prepared in week 1. Here's my take. New data or information comes out, and now here's my new thing. It's not a thing. It's just the Colts could contend for this division. Now, granted, Lawson, it was 1 week in the Miami Dolphins. Yes, I understand that. The Dolphins have arguably the worst secondary, especially cornerbacks in the NFL. Yes, I understand. But if you tell me Danny Dimes he doesn't have to be as awesome as he was yesterday. Can he be 70% of what he was yesterday? Can Jonathan Taylor stay healthy, and is their offensive line going to, continue to be good? Yeah. As long as nothing happens major to, one of their skill guys, I think they'll be fine. And you saw, DeForest Buckner and their 2 young edge rushers really, step up in the steamrolling that happened yesterday. If I was a Colts fan, I'd be super excited. Like, it's funny because the Colts are where the Steelers have been in the past couple years, not in terms of not having losing seasons, but like they're not good enough to contend for a Super Bowl, but they're not bad enough to get a top 5 pick and really hit the reset button on this franchise. With their top 5 pick, they picked Anthony Richardson, and when they signed Daniel Jones and Daniel Jones was named the starter, it's like, okay, well, his time in Indy is probably soon coming to an end. So it's what team's going to trade for him and roll the dice. But it was a great win by the Indianapolis Colts. I thought I believed that entering the weekend, I thought Miami was going to win. I thought that their speed indoors would kill the Colts but I was completely wrong. And Tua had one of the worst performances of his entire career. And they need to clean house. And I don't believe when Mike McDaniel is fired, obviously they're just going to promote from within because I don't think they'll find their, in quotations, long-term guy. Sorry, my nose is itchy. But it's really appalling to me that the lack of self-awareness to just see this from the outside. Like there were even reports from this offseason where teams were having joint practices, and it's like something's going on in Miami. The vibes are not good at all. They're just not. So I could see after promoting from within and finishing out the year with whoever's the head coach, it would be really interesting to see who they target. What's the name? I could see them going after, because Miami is all about sex appeal. What's the hot sexy name? And I don't think there's going to be a hot sexy name in the head coaching market this year. I don't. I don't see a Ben Johnson or a Liam Cohen or somebody like that. Do I think? I think he calls Ryan Day, Steve Sarkisian, and they might kick the can on Bill Belichick. I don't know, but Miami is the worst organization right now in the NFL, or at least run from the outside looking in. Because Tyreek looked pissed on the sideline, sitting on the bench. Tua's inconsistent. Tua is the definition of consistently inconsistent. And over the past couple of years, when he's played, they've been an adequate offense. But they were just, I don't know if there's anything I like about him now, especially after the performance. I thought in theory they're gonna be playing from behind. They're gonna have to pass a lot. Tua's gonna have good numbers. Tyreek and Waddle are gonna have good numbers, but I don't know. I think they're gonna be really bad and will probably contend for a top 10 pick. That's my guess. They're gonna be really bad. Now to move on from the shellacking the Colts gave Miami, a really interesting game that I don't know if many people watched. The Buccaneers squeaking out the Atlanta Falcons. I was really impressed with Michael Penix. I thought Michael Penix showed great poise. He was, from a statistical standpoint, almost threw for 300 yards, a passing touchdown, a rushing touchdown, and really outplayed I thought for the majority of the game, especially in the first half, he outperformed Baker Mayfield, who was a top 5 statistical quarterback last year. But for Atlanta to lose this game, as in Atlanta's margin for error is so small, because they had the 50-yard touchdown to Bijan Robinson on I think it might have been the third. I know it was their first drive. It might have been the third play of the game. But after that, it's like Tampa's defense isn't gonna be world beaters. Zach McCollum, who just got a contract extension, dropped 2 picks yesterday. 2. And they were not gaining any traction or pulling away at all. Now, did Younghoe Koo missed the game time field goal? Yes, but Chase McLaughlin missed the extra point that would have brought it to a 24-20 game. To spotlight a player from this game, I thought Emeka Egbuka, he's gonna be great. Like, just if you think he had a great game yesterday, and for a NFL debut, 4 catches, 67 yards, and 2 touchdowns, including the go-ahead touchdown with, I think, 59 seconds left in the game. Might have been 53. He's going to be excellent. He's going to be an excellent young receiver for a long time. Mike Evans was Mike Evans, 5 for 51. But where I think Egbuka is going to be really good, just wait till Chris Godwin comes back. Then what do you do with this Buccaneers offense? I understand they lost, Liam Cohen because Jacksonville gave him a shit ton of money to be the head coach. But how do you guard this Tampa Bay offense? Mike Evans, Emeka Egbuka, Chris Godwin, and Bucky Irving. And Rachaad White, who's a serviceable backup running back. They didn't have Trista Wirfs yet last night, or yesterday. And Atlanta still found a way to lose. And once again, as previously mentioned, I thought Penix looked fine. I thought it was good in the first start to the season, but I want to see can he, because there were a couple plays where it was like him and Drake London. I don't know if they're not on the same page, or because Drake London is another excellent young receiver, and Kyle Pitts had a couple plays that he does kind of every game. We're gonna see if Kyle Pitts can finally in the year, whatever it is. When was he drafted? 2019, 20. He has been such, for being the highest drafted tight end ever in the draft. He's been such a disappointment. It's almost as if every single head coach that Atlanta has had just don't know how to utilize him. They just don't. But Atlanta, if there was a game to beat Tampa, you swept them last year in two crazy, thrilling games, and you start 0-1, and this is the start of just a what do we have here? What do we have? What is the defense going to look like? We tried to address it in the draft, and this is probably, I don't know, because like Penix, for me, him being a lefty just kind of, and he wasn't really mobile when he was at Washington, but and that's Washington College, not the Commanders, for those that have no idea. But I don't know, he wasn't really mobile in college, but he did chip in yesterday, six carries for 21 yards. Now I want to move to a game that really made me laugh. The Cincinnati Bengals beat the Cleveland Browns 17-16. Joe Burrow, one of the highest paid quarterbacks in the NFL. One of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. His teams often have gotten to slow starts. Many 1-2s, 1-3 records over the past couple of years. And you're in a dogfight with the Cleveland Browns. Pitiful. Oh, but Lawson, the Browns historically have given Burrow issues and blah blah blah. Me. It is the Cleveland Browns, and you have T. Higgins and Jamar Chase and Chase Brown and Mike Gesicki and Hio Savage, who's a solid slot receiver, but their offensive line is bad. Well, this is what happens when you pay T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, and Joe Burrow. This is what you got. And he was 14 for 23 for 113 yards and 1 touchdown. I think Jamar Chase had 2 catches for 26 yards. And Joe Flacco is I think he's the second oldest. He's got to be the second oldest, because I know Rodgers is the oldest quarterback in the NFL. But Flacco, the gunslinger mentality, they hucked it 45 times for 290 yards. And even still, here was the stat that made me laugh the most. So after halftime, Cincinnati Bengals, in the third quarter, as a team, they had 25 yards. The third quarter. That's it. 25. Guess what they had in the fourth quarter? Negative 18 yards as a team. If you do the math, that is 7 yards of offense in the second half. Excuse me. You have, once again, top five quarterback Joe Burrow. Top 2, not top 3, top 2 wide receiver in Jamar Chase. T. Higgins, who will be a number 1 receiver who could be a number 1 receiver on multiple teams. Second year running back Chase Brown, who is electric. Mike Gesicki, serviceable receiving tight end. Hio Savage, young, promising slot receiver. And you're in a dogfight. And if it wasn't for a missed extra point and a missed field goal, they would have lost this game. And I would be sitting here right now just laughing at the entire what's their chant? Who dey? Like, who they think they're gonna beat them Bengals? You almost lost to the Cleveland Browns. Oh, but Lawson, you lost to the Cleveland. Your Steelers lost to the Cleveland Browns last year. Yeah, but we had more than 7 second half yards. Like it just the whole. It makes me laugh because you're gonna tell me this team is if you were to tell somebody who is learning the NFL right now, oh, this Bengals team a couple years ago they were in the Super Bowl. A couple years ago they went 12-4 and were in a close game with the Kansas City Chiefs about to make back-to-back Super Bowls. They would have said, "How? What happened? Was there a change at head coach?" No. All their core guys are still there. I don't know. But if the Browns' offense in the second half now, do I expect them to have 7 yards in the second half next game? Absolutely not. No. No, I think they play Jacksonville at home, and that'll be a high-scoring game. But it makes me laugh as to I don't understand the man crush on Joe Burrow. I'm gonna say Joe Burrow, the Cincinnati Bengals. Like, do you not understand that this is a salary cap league? Salary cap, big old pie, and Joe Burrow's taking the biggest slice. And he wanted them to keep both receivers and Mike Gesicki. So what's gonna happen, Joe? Your offensive line's gonna suck. Outside of Trey Hendrickson, your defense is gonna suck. They're gonna need to hit on in order for this team to be successful, they must hit on the majority of their draft picks for the entirety of his career. And you might have a new head coach next year, depending upon how the season goes. Because Zach Taylor is, it's unsaid, but he's on the hot seat. If they miss the playoffs again with a top 5 quarterback, a top 2 receiver, another fantastic weapon, Chase Brown, and all this, you don't think that there's going to be really internal conversation of maybe we need a new voice in the locker room? I don't know. I have no idea. Now to wrap up this episode, let's go to Green Bay, where the Green Bay Packers jumped out all over the Detroit Lions early and didn't look back. It looked if Jared Goff plays this season like he did in the first half against Detroit, I'll be completely wrong. I'll be completely wrong about their ability to, win and contend for not only a playoff spot, contend for the division, and potentially a Super Bowl. Micah Parsons' ability to just be on the field and be a threat. Luke Van Ness on the other side, he's taking protection away from Rashawn Gary, who's a really serviceable outside edge pass rusher. He's more of what I would consider a polished edge player other than Micah Parsons, because Rashawn Gary is also good against the run, unlike Micah Parsons. But Detroit just kind of looked unbuttoned up. And they will probably be on the road to a rude awakening, because you don't just lose 2 coordinators and once again, did us as NFL and football media think that they're going to win 15 games again? No, absolutely not. But from the losses they had on the offensive line to the additions the massive swing that the Green Bay Packers took in acquiring Micah Parsons, and depending upon what we see tonight between the Bears and the Vikings, it's going to be really tough. It's going to be really, really tough. Now, they still have, from top to bottom, a very talented roster. But I don't know, like, Green Bay, to me, I'm still out on Jordan Love, probably until Thanksgiving this year, maybe till the complete end of the year. But a noteworthy piece and something to look at this offseason, I really believe that their defensive coordinator that they hired from, I can't remember what college he was coaching at. Anyways, their defensive coordinator will probably be #1 priority when it comes to any head coach vacancies. And I do mean any head coaching vacancies. I can see teams requesting to interview him. From what he has done with that defense over the past 2 years, it's been awesome to see. Cuz for a long time it was Green Bay doesn't have a defense. I don't whether it be roster scheme, their offense could be excellent and borderline historic, and their defense just continuously let them down. And last year they were feast or famine when it came to turnovers. We saw him coach Xavier McKinney up to having his best year as a pro. And I believe that if Green Bay's defense can be serviceable, they'll easily be a double-digit win team and be in the upper echelon of teams that compete in the NFC. They not only jumped on the Lions early, they gave them nothing. Like Jared Goff was fine, 31 of 39 for 225, 1 TD, 1 pick, but like Jahmyr Gibbs had 10 catches for I think 59 yards. Let me double check that. Because I know he had 10 catches, but it was for obviously not a lot of yards. Yeah, oh hell, I was even lower. Jahmyr Gibbs had 50 yards from scrimmage. Jahmyr Gibbs is one of the most elite. He is the Sonic and Knuckles of between him and David Montgomery's backfield. He had 50 yards from scrimmage. When you have somebody as talented, now it's not from lack of trying. He had 9 carries for 19 yards and 10 catches for 31 yards, but a lot of it was just a lot of empty calories when it didn't matter. Sam Laporta had a solid game with 6 catches for 79 yards, but it didn't matter because Green Bay jumped on him early, and Detroit's going to need to. I don't know if there is any moves they could make or any change schematically to their blocking schemes, but you don't lose both coordinators. Lose Frank Ragnow to retirement, who was one of the best centers in the NFL, and just immediately there's going to be an adjustment period. And they already have a really tough schedule, and they play in the NFC North, which is one of the best divisions in football. But yeah, it was that game out of all the games that were shocking, outside of Miami just getting the doors blew off of them, that was the more shocking thing. I expected a competitive one-score game because that's for the most part what all division games are in Week 1. All of them. And Green Bay just that was their hey Detroit, remember when we were bad in the division last year? That's exactly what that was. Remember when you beat us twice? Yeah. And I don't know. I think Green Bay has the, I still believe I'm not changing my thoughts and values as to I still think their roster is top heavy. I still don't love their weapons, but Jordan Love was throwing to guys just wide open yesterday. Just wide open. And he was great. And Josh Jacobs continued to just be a normal Josh Jacobs. That is how the majority of if Green Bay is going to win double-digit games, that's how the majority of their games are going to look. Jordan Love being efficient, not turning the ball over, pick and choosing his spots. Josh Jacobs, kind of controlling the clock, controlling the ground and the line of scrimmage, and their defense being another top 10 defense. That is what is going to need for Green Bay to compete in not just the NFC, but potentially in the entire league. Now, we still got 10 minutes, so I'm going to quickly touch on tonight's game. I don't think I've ever been more interested in a Week 1 Monday night standalone game than in any year. This is the game of the unknowns, and I think the ratings are going to be awesome. I think the game has potential to be another really tight divisional game between Caleb Williams and the Chicago Bears and J.J. McCarthy and the Minnesota Vikings. Now, it's in Chicago, so home field, outside, semi-cold wind, XYZ, all that jazz. But we're about to see what Caleb and this Ben Johnson offense looks like. We're about to see. We're about to see if they try anything by crazy, any interesting trick plays, because they have talent on offense. They have Cole Kmet, Colston Loveland, who they drafted really high. Caleb Williams, depending upon how you view him, DeAndre Swift, um, DJ Moore. But I don't know. This game's gonna be really interesting based off of what does JJ McCarthy look like in Kevin O'Connell's offense. He has a top 2 wide receiver, and for it, depending upon who you ask, it's not 2. He has arguably the best wide receiver in the NFL, Aaron Jones, who is still a very, very serviceable back. Uh, Christian Darrisaw is back, who missed a lot of time last year with an ankle injury, and excuse me. I think Minnesota wins tonight. I think Brian Flores is going to throw some high level intense things at Caleb. I think he's going to pressure him the majority of the night and say, Caleb, how fast can you read this field? How fast can you read this defense? How quickly can you get the ball out of your hands? Because that's a red flag for Caleb, is he'll sit there and just pat the ball and sometimes play hero ball to his detriment and the detriment of his team. But maybe Ben Johnson wraps his arms around him and says, you know what, Caleb? We're going to scheme the offense to where you don't even have to worry about maybe playing hero ball. We're going to work on screens. We're going to work on short passes, and then your occasional play action pass, and take your shot. That's my thought process on tonight's game. I think that the better team, the better coach team. Not saying Ben Johnson is not a good coach, because I think he has the talent to be he has the mind and the thought process to be a great head coach. But there's obviously the difference between being a great coordinator and being a good head coach. Obviously. We've seen plenty of coordinators be head coaches and they just stink. Look at Robert Saleh for example. He went from having a top 5 defense when he was in the Niners to taking the Jets head coaching job. And now, granted, was it all his fault? No, but his record is what it is. And then he was canned this past offseason, and the Niners begged him and offered him a boatload of money, and he's back in San Francisco. And that San Francisco defense was the reason why they pulled out a very nice win again in Seattle. And that's a tough place to play, especially in Week 1. The Niners defense was great yesterday, and forced once again the very, very key turnover. But to spin the block back to tonight's game, I think Minnesota wins a very close, tight game. I can see this being more low scoring, and it might come down to who's got the better kicker. And I like Will Reichard, and I think that Minnesota goes up late, and then Brian Flores does what Brian Flores does and just calls the perfect blitz on the perfect play and lights Caleb up. And the Bears run out of time. That's what I think is going to happen. Now, since we do have 5 more minutes, let's go and look at some Nerfies. Now, let me check and see if mine hit on Friday. I think... Here we go. I had the Braves and the Mariners, and it did not. Sack fly on the bottom of the first with runners on third and second. That is pain. The Braves did win 4-1, and Chris Sale was excellent. While I'm looking, just listen to me ramble. Aroldis Chapman, I don't know if we'll ever see a Cy Young winner from someone in the bullpen. or like a reliever or closer. But if there's ever a year to give him one, like I understand Scooble's the man, but I would be interested to see what Chapman's odds are for the Cy Young. Because in his last 17 game appearances, he's had 17 games and struck out another 4 in one inning yesterday, which he leads the entire MLB in ERA, which is sub 1, which is ridiculous. WHIP, batting average allowed, and opponent and OPS allowed. It's ridiculous what he does, and still continues to do at this age. Especially going from, because where was he last year? I think it was in Pittsburgh last year. Going from, and it's been interesting to see his whoever's catching for Chapman, they are calling his fastball as opposed to just saying, all right, Chapman, throw it 102 down the middle and just see if they can hit it. No, he is he's spotting and placing his fastball and dotting it, and he's been excellent. And he's a big reason as to why when if the Red Sox are in the lead late in the ninth. Now I don't know if Chapman can be and especially in the playoffs, it's gonna be interesting to see how they do this. If he can be a multiple inning closer, but if we're up 1 in the ninth, there's no doubt in my mind Chapman's gonna come in and save the day. Hence why closers are one of the most important positions in baseball. Let's see. A lot of interesting games. Really interesting. We're almost at that time where it's what many call the second season of baseball, the playoffs. I think we got 20 games left, and while I look, I can just ramble on the. Oh, here we go. Speaking of the Red Sox, give me the Red Sox and the it's so funny whenever you talk about the Athletics, because like, do you call them the Oakland Athletics? But they're not in Oakland. Do you call them the Sacramento Athletics? Well, technically they're going to be playing in Vegas, or are they the Vegas Athletics? But let's just call them the Sacramento Athletics for because that's where they play. It is Garrett Crochet going up against Luis Morales. Garrett Crochet is a Cy Young level pitcher. Only problem is Scooble's a pitcher. That's his only problem. He has a 14-5 record, tied for fourth in the MLB, a 2.67 ERA. He is second in the league in strikeouts, only behind Derek Scooble. He's third in innings pitch. It's been awesome to see too his game be taken and just continue to grow. Because I remember when he was in Chicago, I know he went from Chicago to Boston. I think I don't remember if they traded for him late last year. Well, not late, obviously, because trade deadline XYZ, or if it was in the offseason. But I remember when he was just a bullpen guy, and now he's a high level starter. And against the Athletics, he is giving up a 174 batting average, 4 for 23 with 4 strikeouts and no home runs. So very minimal data to go against this lineup. And Luis Morales is 3-0 on the year and has a 159 ERA, 30 strikeouts, a .99 WHIP, and allowing a batting average of 172. Now he has not faced this Red Sox lineup, but 1, 2, 3 inning both sides should get us up and out of there with a very nice, comfortable win. And that is your Nerfy of the day. I'm going to wrap this up. So, if you enjoyed episode 60 of the Legends Clubhouse, be sure to, drop like, subscribe, smash the notification bell so you'll know whenever we, whether postings go live, XYZ, and all that jazz. And be sure to check us out at New Leaf News on all social media platforms. Obviously, we're on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Blue Sky, I think it said Facebook. You name it, we got it. And be sure to check out not only my other content, but we have a awesome team of writers, and we cover everything from horoscope, gaming, space magic, aka I think I just said horoscope, so I don't really need to double tap into the space magic and space dust that I tee about crime, politics, uh, opinions, reviews on what movies, books, you name it, we got it. And we also have a pods and more section if you're interested in any other shows that we have on New Leaf News that we tease preview. They are also right there as always for New Leaf News and the Legends Clubhouse. I'm Lawson Turner, and I don't have anybody to point to. That would be Bobby Coos, but he should be back on Wednesday, so we will be back with our normal dynamic duo of us on Wednesday, and we can't wait to talk about Monday night and get his take on the NFL season. And that's all I got. And until next time, we will see you beautiful people Wednesday at 7:30 a.m. Eastern. Our normal streaming schedule is Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 7:30 to normally 8:30 a.m. Eastern time. As always, for New Leaf News and the Legends Clubhouse, I'm Lawson Turner, and we will see you beautiful people Wednesday morning at 7:30 Eastern. Until next time, peace.